Sabi nga ni Arianne, it takes, the proverbial 10,000 hours of practice. Yung sabi ni Alcom, this is a legit sport, and I think it takes that. But I'm going to throw a hard question at you, because this is, I think, in the minds of many parents, because we are talking a sport that is very popular among the young. And Jab or Arianne, give it to Arianne first. There is a concern what kind of violence that is involved with esports. So can you address that concern, and also the issue of gaming addiction? Is that something that is talked about when you're talking esports, Arianne?
Well, certainly that topic arises, especially since I talk a lot with administrations and parents. But if you also look back on other countries, for example, North America, they had the same, like their president themselves said that perhaps the school shootings are being caused by these violent video games. And I think the backlash that he got from the community, the country, over that remark is proof enough that there hasn't been conclusive studies relating violence and video games. Because correlation is different from causation. If video games are all that bad in addiction, or in like to akin it to drugs, why aren't me, Sir Jab, and Sir Jobert addicts, right? Why are we functional? So that means there's a good side to video games if you just temper it right. Yeah. But if you use drugs, of course the bad side of drugs, there's no good side to it. Mm-hmm. That's a big difference. Okay. That I'm afraid isn't very understood at the moment.
So the good part now, I mean, even if you're not a professional gamer, all of the things that you can learn from the discipline of esports, meron eh, di ba? Because it's a mind game. It's a lot of, it's like chess with the added element of manual dexterity, di ba?
Yeah, but I agree with what Arianne said, that it's not the issue of addiction. It's not really just it's not really isolated with just esports. It can be a question for all kind of sports, right? Even with I remember when we were growing up, when esports was not really a big thing. People were talking about the same thing with billiards. Students going to billiard houses just to play games all day. It's basically the same thing. But then we hear success stories of Efren Bata Reyes being successful in it. That's the time when it was kind of starting to look like lucrative, right? And then that's the time when parents would, sometimes I even heard about some of my friends being encouraged by parents because they saw potential from their children, that they knew how to play billiards really well. So it's the same thing right now, even with esports. So I think that the issue of addiction is, it can be there, but there's always a lot of ways to actually deal with it. It's not really just with esports only. It's everywhere. And it can be even tied to anything that's legitimate, right? Everything has to be done in a way that's balanced, even with your life, so that you can be a fully functional person that's contributing to society. So it's also the same way with esports.
Everything in moderation, tama, di ba, Jab?